We are live, and we're going to go ahead and start off with the biggest news of the week, and that is the presidential election that just passed. Joe Biden looks like he's projected to be the president-elect of the United States. They're still, going back and forth with all that, and there's a lot of accusations of voter fraud. There's a lot of speculation, a lot of talk going on around this. I want to go ahead and just get the initial thoughts of what was going through your guys' head during this when they announced Joe Biden won, and how are your thoughts on it now? I'll go ahead and start with you, Brooks. What do you think about this past weekend in the election? How it went down?
Um, I mean, my first reaction was like, "Oh, that's cool. Good for him. I'm happy that Trump is out." Um, and then I was like one of the first, because someone else, like, they DM'd me on Twitter, or on Twitter, on Instagram. They're like, "Oh my God, Trump. I mean, Biden won." It's like, yeah, but this, that, and the third. I don't have much faith in him. This, just like really poo pooing on the parade, and they were like, "Damn, you can't be positive at all." Like, nah, I can't, because I'm not too excited about him. I don't think anybody was really excited about him unless you're
Because
like,
you know the truth. You know
yeah,
more of the truth than they do.
I
That's like,
I know way too much now, and like it'd be easier for me if I weren't aware, but I am. I'm not super happy about it. And I mean, this can lead to like another discussion we're gonna have about like family discussions we've had about politics. But yeah, I wasn't too happy. Like, I was happy about it, but I wasn't over happy about it. And then I drove into work because I had a shift working the wedding in Four Seasons. Everywhere I'm going, I'm hearing people honking their horns. People are outside waving the American flag, waving Biden
uh,
Harris banners and all that.
We
Just
now
super
have world
happy.
peace.
Yeah, everybody's, this is kumbaya. I thought that was, I mean, that was pretty interesting to me. But yeah, I mean, it seems like everybody's happy about it. So
so let
Yeah,
me
we
let me
live in
ask you.
Maryland, by the way. It's a very blue state. That's
yeah,
why
and
Brooks witnessed this.
and
Let me
I'm
ask you,
and
Brooks.
I'm driving into DC as well, as I'm
Oh,
hearing like the honks and all that.
true that. That's a majority. That's majority blue in DC. I think there was like 93% this year with the votes for DC going in the Democratic side. So Brooks, before I pass it on to Franco and before I give my thoughts, I want to ask you. You say there's nothing for that you were happy about, like nothing to celebrate with the Joe Biden thing.
I mean, happy to celebrate the fact that Trump is out of the office and that, like the most harmful person is out, but also kind of just like somber just because, I'm aware of Biden's record. I'm aware of Kamala Harris's record. Um, and I don't mean to poo poo on anybody's parade, but, like, being aware is like, and I don't know if Franco can agree with this, but like when you're aware, it seems like you're just more skeptical, and you can't be happy about certain people getting in, and it almost kind of like ruins some of the stuff for you. Like, ignorance is certainly bliss, and but I think it's good that I'm aware of everything. But yeah, I'm not happy, but like I'm happy that Trump is out. That's the main thing.
What were your thoughts, Franco? So when the news came down, I wasn't on Twitter, so I couldn't really see what people were saying. What was going on, man? Like what went through your head? What did you see people saying? What was your initial reaction to seeing the how the election ended up playing out this weekend?
Well, I was preparing for either of the war criminals to become president. So I didn't
One
have
or
any
another?
attachment really to what the results would be. If you want to save yourself from disappointment or feeling depressed about any outcomes in life, people, the best thing you can do is to not feel attached to an outcome that you really want. To just
That's
accept
true.
whatever
Low
result it is that
expectations.
happens. So we initially, it looked like Trump was going to win. They were calling it the Red Mirage. But then, as more votes started piling in, we saw that a lot of states that were going red ended up flipping to blue. And then we saw a lot of the Trump supporters were freaking out. They were immediately growing suspicions. A lot of election integrity activists were also growing suspicions. It could just be because of the mail-in ballots, but if you look at it statistically and mathematically, I haven't dove that deep into that evidence, but it could be that this was like a mathematical and statistical anomaly, like Trump losing in states that are really critical for Biden to have won, but then Trump wins in a landslide in states that he didn't really need to win. It raises a lot of questions, but regardless of whether we have Biden or Trump, we're still going to be bombing other countries. We're still going to be having policies that are going to benefit the few wealthy people of this country, the millionaires and the billionaires, and the working class people are still going to continue to get screwed over. So it's up to us to keep protesting, to not fall back asleep just because we have this perception that Joe Biden is somehow better than Donald Trump just because he's more polite. We have to keep fighting. We can't go back to sleep.
Yeah, that's what I seen the common thing that I seen people were saying was celebrate now, but get back to reality at some point. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm gonna have to be the contrarian here of the group. I was amped, man. I was like, yes, sir. You know, Trump is gone. You know what I mean? Well, that we see so far. You know, Trump is
he's challenging the results. We forgot to mention that.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. So far, you know, so far it looks like Trump got voted out. You know what I mean? I'll be the first one to say, you know, I have my bias in this situation here. I dislike both candidates, but I'll be the first one to say that I dislike Trump more. You know, for, you know, and I know it's a common thing that you guys say a lot. It's like it's more for his antics than his policies, and hell yeah, you know, his antics are disgusting. His antics, his personality, along with a couple of policies too. You know, Donald Trump to me is just doesn't seem like somebody who takes this job at all serious. And I don't know how much better Biden is going to be, but I think a lot of American people are willing to see what he's going to do with his presidency, because a lot of the flack that he's catching was being associated with the president or the former president. And you know, we have yet to see what he's going to do as the president, you know, what he's going to do in the as the commander in chief, and not, you know, the vice president this time around. And I think it's just something that people are willing to take a chance on, something I'm willing to take a chance on. It wouldn't be the first time that we voted against, or it wouldn't be the first time I personally voted against my interest, because I think I voted, if I didn't vote for Hillary, I must have voted third party. I definitely didn't vote Trump last time.
Did you vote for Harambe?
Nah, I didn't vote Harambe. No. I don't remember who I voted for last time. I just know it wasn't for Trump. It might have been third party, might have been Hillary, because it was a tough choice last time. You know, the same way it's not in.
Is choosing between a heart attack or cancer. Like, do you want a quick death or like a slow and very painful death?
My thing that I think I had like some disagreements with people were more like, you know, the election fraud thing. I think we can get right into that. The whole election fraud situation, where there's a lot of people coming out and basically saying, "Oh yeah, there's voter fraud going on," and then there's other people saying, "No, there's not." And then, you know, I dug in, did some research, and I seen, you know, places like Milwaukee had no discrepancy. I seen some places in Michigan it was no discrepancy, but things kept changing. I was just looking on their website, like on their voter registration website.
But who controls the website though?
Whoever controls the website is the ones that control the website.
I know, but
what are you getting at?
And how can you trust the people who control the website? Did you see like true. How the votes were counted? Did you see like if they're like what voting machines that they used? Like, did you see who was in charge of overlooking how the votes were being counted?
Well, that would be illegal.
We have to dive deep into.
That would be illegal for people to be watching how the votes are being casted. Those are called poll watchers.
It's what we saw like in our investigation that we did in our group chat. In some places it is legal, and I think that it should be legal because we want transparency
Why?
in our election, right?
Why
Why
would
would
poll
you
watching be
have trust
legal?
in people counting votes behind closed doors? Like, do
You
you
said why
have that
wouldn't
much
we?
trust in people counting votes behind closed doors? You don't think that they're ever going to have their bias influence the way that they're counting votes? Do you think that there should be a check and balance?
Are there not for vote counters? Are there not always Republican and Democrat, or is there ever just one or the other?
Sometimes the supervisors have their biases, and sometimes like they end up choosing volunteers that are mostly leaning one way, Democrat or Republican. That's
That
why, look, we need the more transparency we have in our democracy, the more democratic we are. Otherwise, how are we going to know if we're being cheated or not?
so you think that poll watching should be legal?
Yeah, it should be. There
You would
should
be
also be
okay with
cameras that
somebody staring
show
down your
everybody
shoulder, seeing who you're
how the
voting
votes are
for?
being counted.
I think that's a matter of just like your own privacy. Like you want to know, you want to have your
How,
own,
but it's
little.
our votes. They're using our votes. Like it's our technically our property.
Okay, I think a
It's the
better
public's
question
property.
is, I think a better question is this: who would be doing the poll watching for it to
Oh, it
be?
has to be everybody. Like it has to be like whether there has to be Democrats and Republicans and independents. Everybody gets to watch. It can't be only this group of people get to watch. No. I don't. I'm not sure if that's like what some Republicans wanted. Like they're like, oh no, it can only be us that watch, or no, it can only be them. That's not okay. It has to be everybody that should be allowed to watch how the votes are being counted.
I don't know. I think personally, me as a voter, I would feel highly uncomfortable with somebody trying to like look over my shoulder, trying to see what
Make
I'm
sure
doing.
that your vote gets counted. They're making sure that your vote gets counted and it doesn't. How would you feel if you voted like one way, right? Let's
So
like you said you voted for Joe Biden. What would you do if there was somebody who was counting your vote and then they changed your what you bubbled in and put in Donald Trump instead?
Well, so if I watch my vote be placed in the machine, that's not good enough.
No, because these machines are owned by multinationals, and these multinationals have agendas. In my video that I did earlier today, there's somebody named William Connard, who was an ex-Obama executive who served as the European Union ambassador under the Obama administration. He also worked in the Clinton administration in the 90s. So he has an interest in the outcomes of the elections and what will benefit his career. So, and also I list off some reasons of how these machines are easily hackable. There's been many instances in which teenagers have hacked these voting machines.
Oh,
But that sounds more like conspiracy, though, brother.
No, it's not conspiracy. This is well documented.
So it's well documented that teenagers have hacked election voting machines.
Yeah, they have.
Can we be linked, please?
Yeah, sure. I'll pull it up right now.
LinkedIn, please. I would like to see it.
I'm sure they talk like this is something that was discussed in my high school even.
Really?
BCC.
High schoolers
You can change
hacking.
the algorithm of the machine so that one like after a certain number of votes, it goes towards a certain candidate. And because of how easily hacked our elections can be, that's why Tulsi Gabbard introduced her Securing America's Election Act, so that there could be more security with the voting machines. And that if somebody ever were to hack our voting machines, you can see that it was hacked. Like you get a notification about it. But that's not how our voting machines work right now.
So I'm looking here at a report from the public broadcasting services, or PBS, as most people probably know it by. Says that an 11-year-old changed election results on a replica Florida state website in under 10 minutes.
An 11-year-old.
That's a Florida replica website, though. I'm trying to find something here where, because that's the main thing that comes up here.
All right,
Let
so
me
this
look
is
at it
from
on.
Truth Out. Is it all right if I read my like what I found?
Go
Or
for it.
all right, so this is from Truth Out. In the very first interview that I had with an election integrity activist, Nico House, I discussed this. And I also discussed this in my latest video. So here's what it says. Cybersecurity experts and white hat hackers who have gained access to the machine over the years report that every component of these electronic voting systems are ridiculously vulnerable to fraud. Machines are not safeguarded and sit vulnerable for weeks leading up to an election. The shoddy locks and keys on the machines are easily opened and replaced. Machines can be breached without breaking official security seals. The secret software can be rigged with malicious self-deleting code to steal elections. The rigged code will not be detected by standard security tests. Vote rigging viruses can be spread from one computer through an entire network. The administrative passwords are often easily hacked or missing entirely. One person can access voting systems and others can enter behind them. Last-minute patches to supposedly update software can harbor malicious code. Wireless connections are insecure and aren't always evident. Vulnerable hacking points include voter registration lists, any machines that are linked to the internet, any digital vote results that are transferred wirelessly to central tabulators, and all final vote tallies transferred to the website or secretaries of states. Dozens of technical report and studies, and then this is all linked. Books,
Where is this? I
films,
want to
and
see
videos.
this.
This is on truthout.org.
Truth
Articles,
what? Truth out.
investigations, and even congressional whistleblowers' testimony have exposed the depth of this crisis. So again, this isn't anything new. And that's why a lot of people are proponents of having writing, having just everything be, having paper ballots and having it be hand counted. I think that that's more secure and it's less hackable.
How would you feel about if there were some like Hardlands Media? I can't remember the dude's name, but one of the guys,
Kikabello or Daniel?
I guess it was Daniel. He was proposing doing like having some phone app for everybody to be able to just log in and tap in who they want to vote for. Do you think that's more susceptible to voter fraud as well, or election fraud?
So if you set it up in a way so that you can detect if it's been hacked, you get a notification that it's been hacked, then you can just like stop everything right there and start over. Your vote should also be traced. Just like when you place an order for a package, like on Amazon or on any like reliable website that you order something from, you can trace where your package is going, right? You should be able to know, like you should be able to trace where your vote is. Otherwise, you're just like relying on blind faith on what happens to it.
So Bruno's saying
Yeah, Bruno.
here.
Yeah, hand count 150 million votes. Have millions of volunteers. Have millions of volunteers counting votes. That's how they do it in other countries.
Yeah. So, and truthout.org is it looks like a pretty, like a, I don't want to say that it doesn't look like they have any clear dog in this fight. So that's I could chalk that up to being I guess we could chalk that up to being a good source there. Um, it's possible, and I wanted to ask you this. I had this question, Franco. So this doesn't surprise you, obviously, that the fact that there's allegations of voter fraud, right?
So we
No,
gotta
no, but
distinguish
wait, wait.
between
It's a
voter fraud and election fraud.
hold
Voter
on.
fraud is when somebody like uses like a fake ID or something, or there's like, or you're pretending to be somebody else.
Okay, so all right, election fraud then, not voter fraud, election fraud. Right?
Right. What about it?
So wouldn't it be So wouldn't it make you more comfortable knowing something like that to vote in person, or would that be something that would make you want to do a mail-in instead?
If you can track your mail-in, I'll be perfectly fine with it.
Well, I know for this past one, they were tracking the mail-in ballots too. Like you can know when it was delivered. You can know. I don't know if you can know it can be
Yeah, it's
counted,
different.
but
It's different in every state. In some states, there's less security about it.
so at the end of the day, I think we can all agree that we need to have like the safest and most transparent election. I know Pedro is saying he doesn't want people to be watching over him, which
They're
and
not,
personal.
Pedro, they're not watching over you really. They're watching over the people who are controlling your vote to make sure that your vote actually gets counted and goes the way that you chose for it to go to.
That just seems like a slippery slope, man, because
How is it
sometimes
a
you know
slippery
how it
slope?
is. Because you know how it could be with well, poll watchers, and I guess elect, or what is it, voter watchers, what was it? It was it's something where people literally just watch the voters. I don't remember the exact term for it. You never know who's trying to stir shit up and who's not, but there's really no clear rule, like from what we did on our research earlier. And if somebody, unless somebody can link us to something that we can really, grasp our teeth into, it does look like in most places that's not legal. To me personally, I just don't feel comfortable doing it. If I'm watching my vote go into this machine, call me naive, but I'm not really thinking that these things are going to be triggered algorithms or set, by some 10-year-old in his bedroom. You know what I mean? I'm thinking that this is a machine in 2020 that, is literally, I'm watching it take my vote. I
And you
don't
have
think
full
that
trust after you leave it.
if I watch it go into the machine, I really don't have any concrete reason,
All right,
unless I can
but
be enlightened, to
the
think
people
that this
who
thing may
own
possibly take my vote and change it to something else. I don't have anything to really grasp my teeth into on that.
the people who own the voter machines have a profitable interest because these voting machines are privately owned.
Mm. And that that means
So they
that
have an
there
interest on
should
the
be a,
outcomes of the elections.
so you think that they're able to manipulate something on that wide of a scale instead of something that would be more like easy to go under the radar instead of something like a straight shoot up like in some states how it was.
What do you mean? Like,
So there are some
what do you mean
graphs
by
where
a
I think
shootout?
In Milwaukee there was one where like Joe Biden was going up, 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 and then he had like a one shoot going straight up. So do
Oh,
you
you
think
mean like how all of a sudden, like there was like 110,000 votes that all of them went to Joe Biden and not a
right? So
single one went to Donald Trump?
right, that's what I'm referring to. So you're telling me that I should believe that these machines did it that many times instead of something more, you know, because I would believe it if it was like a small thing, but if it's a big thing, who's to say that Joe Biden wasn't just getting a shitload of votes? Like, why would there not be at least one or two arguments to make against that? Where it's like, you know what, it was just crazy. He got a bunch of votes instead
Because
of jumping
it's
quickly on
if
the
it
there's
happened, then
election
it's like
fraud going on and Donald Trump got robbed. Why is there more arguments for Donald Trump than there is against Joe Biden or
if that
against Donald
happened,
Trump?
because most of the discrepancies that occurred in favor of Joe Biden over Donald Trump. Look, if that is indeed true, that 100% of those 110,000 votes went to Joe Biden, that is so rare. That there's like a 0.001% chance that that could have happened because there has to be variation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard for me to believe too that one person got all those votes at the same time. It's like, where are these votes coming from? And then, yeah, like how are they getting counted and all that? It is kind of weird to me.
Yeah,
Um,
but to be fair, like that was corrected according to what Bruno said
So in MD, you
on the
can
chat.
track your ballot. Also, ranked choice would be nice. Poll watchers, as Trump stated in the debate, poll watchers, right? He said his
Should be
for his
all
folks to
sides.
go. actual voting to the actual voting sites, whereas actual poll watchers watch people tabulate ballots. They corrected that afterwards, by the way, was extremely high for Biden, but not 100%.
No, it was in one instance. It was 100% that went to Joe Biden.
And where did that happen at?
It was in either Michigan or Wisconsin. I don't remember which one it was. But 100% went to it. But I think that's the one that got corrected later. But it's still sketchy because a lot of that stuff happened to Bernie Sanders during the primaries. It happened to him in 2016, and it happened again in 2020, where 100% of votes went to like Pete Buttigieg, or it went to like Joe Biden. But it never, these discrepancies never went in favor of Bernie Sanders. And we should be questioning that, especially after what was revealed in the WikiLeaks documents in 2016 that revealed how Hillary Clinton and the DNC colluded to rig the primaries against Bernie Sanders.
I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say that something did or didn't happen. My only thing that I keep saying, and I said this earlier, right? And I think a lot of people would probably agree with this. I could be wrong. For whoever, is watching or whoever hears it thinks I'm wrong, tell me if I'm wrong. But to me, politics just seems very subjective. You know what I mean? But as far as actual machines rigging things for one person, it's possible, but I see more conclusions saying, sure, no, definitely. I'm sure that there's been a lot of stuff. Forget just election fraud. I'm sure there's a lot of shit that's happening right under our nose that, a lot of people probably don't know about. But why jump to that conclusion so quickly? Because when we say,
don't just jump and conclude that yes, it definitely was stolen. No, just conclude.
That's my whole point.
It probably happened. You can say it probably happened, but don't say it definitely happened. If you say it definitely happened, then you sound like a conspiracy theorist.
But that's what we keep saying with you, bro, is because it seems
no, I'm not saying that it definitely happened. I'm saying that it's
like
very, very possible.
You're more leaning towards that idea, and you have more arguments against Joe Biden.
That's my subjectivity then, and it's based off of evidence. It's not anything objective. It's what I believe. And that's not what I'm using to determine my objective conclusion. And the objective conclusion is that I don't know, and that should be everybody's conclusion.
100%.
So Brenda said, didn't Trump tell his people to vote in person instead? Yeah, he did. That's why it is certainly possible and very, very likely that most of those mail-in ballots went to Joe Biden. So yeah, most of the mail-in ballots most likely went to Joe Biden. But to say that 100 or even like over 99 or 98% of them went to Joe Biden, that's not statistically possible. Like, there has to be variation. There has to be like some Trump supporters that were like, I'm not gonna listen to Trump, but I'm still gonna like vote for him through mail-in.
That's true. I'll give you that. 100% is a very sketchy number, but I think we need to. I think there needs to be a bit more investigating.
God. All right. Bruno, they said it happened in 2016, but Comrade Putin sounds like this same thing. Russians ran disinformation campaigns, but they sure as shit didn't hack the actual machines. What disinformation campaigns are you referring to, Bruno? Because the only things that was proven in the Mueller report was that there were these memes, and 90% of those memes had to do with like buying products and stuff, and like pictures of like Jesus. And then the only political memes were the ones that showed like, if you vote for Trump, then you are like closer to Jesus. If you vote for Hillary, then you're the devil. There's no evidence to suggest that influenced the election. There's no way to prove that.
Facebook. What you mean Facebook, Bruno?
He means like the memes that were linked to Russia. But how can you say that those memes influenced the election?
Bro, dude, think about how the memes for Joe Biden influenced the public opinion. That is something that definitely like can sway somebody's opinion. Like just
Yeah, but
more
you have to prove
casuals
that.
than anything.
You have to prove that.
You wouldn't say that memes are a very influential, thing for people nowadays
Yeah,
where
but
they
then
see
that's being subjective though, like we were talking about. That's a belief. You have to
politics are
look at
subjective,
evidence.
baby.
What?
Politics are subjective. I've been telling you
Right,
this
but
all
to say
day.
that they definitively swung an election one way is like you have to show evidence for that. You have to show evidence. Like you have to ask people, did you vote this way because you saw a meme? And then
Yep.
how would they even know if that's the reason why they voted that way?
Bruno, you're a sociologist, man. You should go do some surveys. Go do some surveys. Ask people in Jersey City, New York. Ask them if they saw any RussiaGate memes that made them vote for Clinton. See what they say.
Well, like in the end, Trump was way more aggressive towards Russia than Barack Obama was. He increased the sanctions on Russia. He attacked Russia's allies. He was bombing Syria. He increased the sanctions on Syria. He attempted a coup in Venezuela, which goes against Putin's geopolitical interests. He continued to bomb Yemen. So Trump, in the end, he did a lot of stuff that went against Russia's geopolitical interests. So that, again, like I was saying, if you want to attack Trump, let's attack him on stuff that we can actually prove.
Okay, so let me say this. I guess this is me more like, and like I said again, I really respect that you own your bias because I'm biased too, bro. And I think a lot of people are very biased, especially now. You know what I mean? More than ever, people are more, sticking with what they like or what they prefer and shit like this. I do give credit to, I have a couple followers that I seen kind of shift right from the fuck Trump to more like, both candidates are really bad and a Biden win is really nothing to be happy about. Shout out
That's
to
good.
shout out to the two guys that I'm referring to. Shout out to Aaron Bermudez. I always call him Aaron Hernandez. Aaron Bermudez and OG Director Juan. We had them both in the podcast. Both of them have been strong against the whole Joe Biden Kamala ticket and about how basically a lot of the same things that you say, where it's like people are gonna go back to sleep. People are Trump is
Tell him to follow me. And I'll follow them
every time
back.
every time I see their pages, I'd be like, yo, I need to get them on the podcast because I bet y'all would be like,
Oh, what's his name?
hit.
The guy who you guys talked to about some of the NBA playoff games, who is also at the DMV peaceful protest in Northwood. What's his name?
Oh, Kadar.
Kadar. Yeah, Kadar is also he's also recognizes that Joe Biden and Kamala is nothing to celebrate, really. Like this is not a victory for BLM.
I think a lot of people, at least at our age, recognize that too. And
It's good that people are starting to wake up to that. I think more people were blinded to Obama than they are to Joe Biden.
When you say BLM, you mean like the org, or you literally mean like just the idea
the
in general,
actual principle.
the principle. It's hard to tell now, man. It's because we can say, nah, I could come up here and
it's a victory once we actually get Joe Biden to implement a policy that'll benefit Black people. Because if you remember, we made a video in which Joe Biden refused to talk to Ice Cube and his contract with Black America, but Trump was more open to talking to Ice Cube.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you wouldn't it be a smarter thing for both candidates to want to do something like that after the election?
No, because you give up your leverage after they win. Like there's no promises after that. It's like paying somebody to do a job before they do the job. Like there's no guarantee that they're going to do a good job.
Because to me, I feel like Trump doesn't. I'm not gonna say I know it. This is just my thoughts. To me, that more seemed like Trump thinking like, oh shit, Ice Cube wants to talk to me. Hell yeah, I want to talk to him. That would help me out in the polls
Probably,
most
but
likely.
hey, he's doing the right thing for the wrong reasons. If that is truly what he wanted to do, but also
That's
he
fair.
probably wanted to look good for black people so he could win in the election. So he's doing the right thing for the wrong reasons.
And his voter
Yeah.
count did go up with everybody except for black
Yeah,
women, I believe too.
except
So
except for white men. He went up for Hispanics. He went up for black women, black men, but
Let's talk about
he went up for white women, but he went down for white men.
let's talk about that, Franco. What do you think is the driving force for the increase in Latinos for Trump?
I think they're just like they're not satisfied with the the way that Obama left their lives like financially. They probably don't want to go back to that. I haven't thought about it too much really, other than they're just not really excited about Joe Biden, and they're probably not buying any of the false fake promises that he's putting for them.
he
They
also
probably this is what I hear from my aunt, and she's not pro Trump. She hates Trump, but she said Trump is more honest than Joe Biden.
Well, honest, I guess
Like,
you
and
could you could
people can perceive Trump more as a more honest actor than Joe Biden,
like
just because of how blunt he is about stuff.
yeah, say he speaks his mind, but when he speaks his mind, what is he really saying though?
Most of the time, just a lot of bullshit.
So I
some
guess
stuff he did say that were like actually true though, like about being in like Iran or whatever for the oil or like
In
meaning
Syria, yeah, like in
or like the
I
military
used that
industrial
clip from
complex. Yeah.
the Gray Zone that Brooks is talking about. Like when we went into Syria and we got took we secured the oil, like the U.S. military secured the oil. Trump went up and he was like, we secured the oil. The oil is protected for the U.S. Like a George Bush and a Barack Obama would never say that. They would say that we're there because we're trying to protect the people there from this tyrant. But in reality, like we've talked about here on this channel, we go to these countries because we want to steal their natural resources. Um, let's not forget how Donald Trump single-handedly destroyed Jeb Bush in that debate. Remember when he was like, when he called out how George Bush knew about 9/11, and he knew about how there was no weapons of mass destruction, and yet we invaded Iraq anyway. That was something that's really taboo. Not even Obama would have called out the Republicans for that. He would just say, "I didn't vote for the Iraq War. I think it was like a strategical mistake." He wouldn't say that that the Bush administration outright lied to us, because they did. They saw the reports. There was no weapons of mass destruction, and we went in there anyway.
Biden voted for that war too.
Biden was
so.
shaming people for not voting for it.
So how much blame does Bush get for, because I think a lot one of the biggest arguments I've heard you use, saying like the whole thanks Obama with Donald Trump, he is because Trump inherited Obama's America, right? So how much blame is Bush going to get for the America that Obama inherited, as well as him being the president with mostly Republicans controlling his decision making?
And then how much does Clinton get that blame? And then how much
It goes
does
back. It goes
Bush
all the way
Senior
back.
get that? Yeah, that's why we have
Keeps
to
going all the way
recognize
back.
that the problem
So
is
shouldn't it be
systemic.
thanks George Washington?
See, should we thank the King of England, or like the Tea Partiers? Like we can trace this back all the way to like the beginning of like human civilization. The problem is systemic, and so we need to realize that there's a problem with our system and try to fix that.
So if that's the case, why does Obama catch so much flack from Frank Analysis?
Because Obama, he
Not saying that
still
he's the
pretends
best.
to
I'm
be
just
this
asking why.
angel. He pretends to be somebody who's actually trying to help us because he says the right things. But actually, he was not the person who we thought he was. He said he was going to get us out of all these wars, but then he got us into more wars. We were already in 2 wars, and then when Obama came into office, he amped it up, and now we're in 7 wars. At least Trump didn't get us into any new wars, but Trump continued them, and he started bombing more. He started bombing these countries more. Um, Obama bailed out Wall Street. There's many things that we can talk about with Obama, and how he left this country, and still a lot of liberals, a lot of people on the left still believe that he was this great person who tried when actually he was given a choice and he chose to do what his donors asked him to do. His cabinet was chosen uh, by Citibank, and so he just did what his bosses told him to do.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. You know, I think every politician has their faults, but I think to basically put everything that Trump has ever done on the shoulders of Obama is it just
I'm not
seems
saying
like
every single thing, but
because you say if we need to blame somebody for Trump, we need to blame Obama for Trump. So or
I
I
said
guess
that I
clarify what
said
you
that
meant by that.
I said that in case that we do get a Donald Trump second term, because it's highly suspected that Bernie Sanders would have beaten Donald Trump easily, because right now we're going through a pandemic, right? We're going through an economic crisis. Bernie Sanders was offering us UBI. He was later on. At first, he wasn't for it, but later on, he was for it just for the pandemic. He was offering us universal healthcare, single payer healthcare. He was going to cancel student loan debts. He was gonna apply all these social programs that would have helped the working class people during all these crises that are happening right now. Just him offering single payer healthcare alone would have crushed Trump. A
And this
lot
is
of
Bernie you're
former Trump
talking about.
supporters would have jumped ship and supported Bernie Sanders.
You think
Um,
so? I don't know about
yeah, they
that,
would
man.
have.
I
A
don't
lot
know
of them
about
would
that.
have. On Fox News, 70% of Fox News viewers agree that we should have single payer healthcare.
You think that's enough for them
There's
to jump
nothing.
ship?
What Donald Trump goes after Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden and some of these other Democrats is about their corruption, right? He can't really say that about Bernie Sanders. What is he going to say against Bernie Sanders? He's just going to call him a socialist, and then Bernie Sanders is going to be like, "Yeah, I'm a socialist. This is
That
what
was the same
America
plan he had
wants."
against. That's probably the same plan he was gonna have against anybody though too. Was calling him a socialist,
Yeah,
far left. But
but the
then
thing is, Bernie
Yo,
was
take off the
he
chat on
held
Skype, Franco.
what?
Take
Yeah, I
off
saw
the chat on Skype.
Bernie Sanders. He was too cautious about attacking his Democratic colleagues. But with Trump, it would have been all gloves off. He would have not held back when attacking Trump.
but
If he
then
held back on Biden, go
A
ahead, bro.
lot. He said Biden could win. Well, in
Nah,
the end, he did win. He supposedly he did win, but why would you say that if that's your competitor? You should be saying that you're more likely to win than Biden.
go
And
ahead,
I
Brooks.
mean,
You were saying? My bad. Yeah,
I
yeah.
was gonna point out also because we were talking about Bernie might have won in like a or what he actually might have won more votes than Biden would have, but at the same time too, like we know people vote against their best interests. Like we know Florida, right? Florida decided to
oh, whoops.
approve minimum wage, $15 minimum wage. They still voted in Trump. California wanted they had a making Uber workers be a part of Uber, but then they decided to vote against that. You know, people tend to vote for against their best interest all the time. So how do we know that that wouldn't happen again with Bernie, even if his platform was super popular? I mean, I'm a Bernie guy. Like I'm more of a Bernie fan than I am of Biden, but I'm not gonna absolutely believe that he would have won in like a huge landslide either.
Just
Yeah,
because of I think because of COVID, that would have really helped him, and also would have depended on who he had as his VP. If he had Elizabeth Warren, there's way more for Donald Trump to attack. Than, oh, Bernie, look at him. Like, you guys think he's a revolutionary? He's hiring all these people that are taking in corporate money, like Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren, who lied about being a Native American. But
so then who would have
yeah,
been
like,
the better VP candidate then?
yeah, but
Who
Tulsi
would have been the
Gabbard.
better
There's less for
VP?
Donald Trump to attack Tulsi Gabbard on.
So
But with the thing with Bernie though, I think the biggest contributor to Trump's loss against Biden is because of COVID and how he handled it. So if Biden was offering universal health care, Biden would have won by even more. There wouldn't even be this debate about if Biden stole the election. Like, Biden would have won in a landslide if he was offering free healthcare during a pandemic. Bernie Sanders is doing that. So that's why I say that Bernie Sanders could have won in a landslide against Trump, unless the elites interfered because they prefer Donald Trump than over Bernie Sanders, and they meddled in the election somehow.
So Bruno said in here in the comments, I mean, he kind of did all right for some stuff, you know, LGBT rights and all that jazz, Red Scares.
Yeah, domestically, that's really all.
Something.
That's really all you can say though, because
what about Iran
LGBT
and then
stuff that doesn't
Paris
really
Accord?
Like LGBT stuff that doesn't hurt the corporations that much. It's just more consumers to pander to, right? And for more consumers that are like gonna buy their stuff. But is that gonna go away? It's not gonna go away. That'll be like taking away like implementing Jim Crow again. It was the LGBTQ stuff passed under a conservative Supreme Court. So, and if they wanted to take it away, they would have done so by now.
So
what about when Obama did the Iran deal? What about the Paris Accords? What about helping us to get out of not the pandemic, but the huge recession that we were in too?
You've been watching some secular talk, I see, bro. Yeah, that Iran deal is good too, but what Kyle doesn't bring up is how the U.S. is still allies with Israel, and so tensions with Iran is still going to increase. But even though the Iran deal is good,
right?
The tensions are still going to go up.
But Iran was still doing what they were supposed to do too.
Right. Yeah. And in terms of Iran, yeah, Obama was better than is better than Trump. Biden is better than Trump also, but Biden also wants to sanction Iran. And he also wants to amp up relations with, like, he wants to continue funding Israel. And Israel is right now committing, a lot of crimes against humanity against their own people in Palestine. They're also acting out very aggressively against other countries in the Middle East. Also, Saudi Arabia. I mean, that we're still going to be selling weapons to Saudi Arabia and aiding them in this genocide against Yemen.
Yeah, well, we've been... Sorry, guys. I need to mute my damn thing. The text messages coming in from other people and shit. No. Hell no. This is the first text I've got all day, man. But shout out to John, by the way. John's the one who he's trying to get some hoodie off. But I think it's up to each person. I've said it before, as far as who wants to vote for who you're going to support. And Franco, man, I got to give you mad props, bro, for at least like owning that there is subjectivity. With yourself, with me, with other people. A lot of people are going to, I think all of us can agree, or most of us can agree, that people are going to, have some type of preference, bias, not all the time, but a lot of the times it's going to be preference, bias, and agendas that people want to follow. And it's easier for people to find arguments, myself included, all of us. I mean, we all do this, finding arguments that are, more suited to our beliefs. But we need to look at several sources. We need to, question certain things, like as you would say, and come up with the best conclusions that we possibly can.
From who, though? Like, who should we be questioning the most?
And what is he saying here? Just to throw it out,
Over
that
media.
Israel and Turkey sold weapons to I can't even read it.
Azerbaijan, yeah, they did.
Azerbaijan
To
to
contribute to their
contribute.
aggression ethics against Armenians. And yeah, there's actually, um, yeah. Bruno sent me something on
Armenians.
that.
Shout out to System of a Down.
Yeah, Azerbaijan and Armenia are having a conflict right now. The U.S. is sitting out of it because they're not. It's in their best interest to sit out and allow all this chaos to be Russia's problems. I think Bruno has looked into this more than I have, though.
Yeah, shout out to Bruno, man. He tends to give me hip to some links and whatnot, but I need to check out more of the stuff that Bruno be trying to tell me about. But yeah, that's the 2020 election. We could keep on going all day about this, but we do have other topics that we wanted to touch on. We could talk more about this, in the next episode or off camera. Shout out to
Hey,
Bruno,
man.
always.
We'll be. You guys are invited onto Frank Analysis for Thursday.
Bet. Frank Analysis.
That invitation still up, bet.
Yeah, so Thursday definitely tune on in, but yeah, so we'll go ahead and move on to topic number 2, and like I said, great discussion. Topic number 1, topic number hold on, before, because I knew Bruno was gonna say one more thing here. Best believe if there was oil, motherfuckers would have bombed the Azerbaijans like
they bombed
the
Bosniaks. Yeah, for sure, Bruno.
It's
for
all
sure.
about personal gain, personal interest.
Right now, it's in the best interest for the U.S. to just have Russia have a headache with this, because they both used to be part of the Soviet Union. So now the war is mostly about land.
And we can give Biden credit for that too, though, and not wanting to continue to use oil. Obviously, 2050 is kind of a long timeline to get off of it.
He wants to continue. He said he's not going to ban fracking.
No, but he said we need to get off of it too.
Right, but he doesn't want to do anything until 2050, and we don't have time for that.
I know, which is what that was going to be my next point. I don't think that 2050 is a good timeline, but I know
he's not serious about it. He's pandering to the people who know about the climate change issue, which there's no denying now by the majority of people. But he also doesn't want to admit to everybody that he's just going to do what the oil lobby tells him to do and what the fossil fuel lobby tells him to do.
There's no doubt that climate change is a real thing. For anybody that's out there still saying that the earth is flat and that the climate is not changing, let's be real, guys. There's no reason that it should be 80 degrees or 75 degrees in the middle of November this often for a whole week. There's definitely climate change. We need to take care of the earth now before we have problems later on. But